means that a few years later I started having a little bit free time and a little bit weekends and a little bit and it started bothering me, you know, my childhood. It was like unfinished sentence. It was some kind of a, you know, void, missing something. And I started scribbling, you know, faces of those whom I knew. I knew my grandparents who were taken away and killed. I knew my cousins, I knew my aunts and uncles, which means I started scribbling their faces first and then situations, what I imagined could have happened. And somebody walked into our apartment and said, "No, these are very interesting. Could you, we have a memorial, Holocaust memorial, could we take also a few paintings here to decorate the room?" So, and gradually they said, "And where were you at that time?" And I said, "I was 15 when it was over. I remember everything between the age of 10 and 15. Can you talk about it?" And I said, "You know, I'm strong, I can talk about anything." And I started giving those presentations and speeches, which means that this was my childhood. If you ask for childhood, I cannot really qualify it as childhood. In the meantime, those who were deported, about 17 members of our family were all just most of them were gassed, you know, killed with poison gas at the arrivals, and prisoners burned their bodies, and the ashes were put in bags and shipped to Germany as fertilizers. Not God wants us to die, Hitler wants us to die. And God gave us strength to resist and free will to resist. Which means that this is how the art came back. You know, I started painting, I started exhibiting, and after, you know, like, because it's very depressing to go back, and it really made me almost sick, you know, to remember all those things. I started painting, also fishing. I love fishing, and music, which means that gradually I painted hundreds of pictures, and I had solo shows. I had solo shows in Europe 5 times so far, in Canada and in America. I didn't count them.
After looking through all your works, I noticed like the color scheme is like warm colors and cool colors. Is there like a reason you did that?
Yeah, I did it on purpose. First of all, if you get instructions in painting, they tell you if it is a sad subject, you have to mute the colors. It should be black and white, if, preferably, or you just don't put too much red in something when you, and so on. And I studied with my brother, you know, as he was studying art. I knew all art history, and I knew anatomy, I knew all those things. You know, he was next to me, 2 years older, but I missed 1 year, which means that it shrank to 1 year. Which means that I found out that Impressionists have missed something. They became very quickly very famous, very popular, because they made a revolution out of those Victorian stiff figures, you know, like classical styles. Suddenly they came with those dots and with those fuzzy pictures, but they used those very colorful paintings or paints or scenes. They covered mostly flowers, nature, you know, summer scenes, and maybe some cities and so on, but again flowers and trees and so on, which means that then they became very famous, and everybody was very astonished with the revolution in art. And they were dying very young, which means that they never finished the second, third, fourth generation. And Cubism came and overwhelmed the art, which means that there were a lot of unfinished things in art, like for example, faces were never painted with those dots and with those blobs or with those spots, and and strokes. Van Gogh is not a typical, but the others never did that, which means that I continued the art history development where Impressionists stopped, and they consider my paintings neo-impressionists, which means that like continuation. I had so many exhibitions in Europe that they were really coming, very high professionals there, art historians and so on. And they told me all those things. I didn't know it. I was painting it by instinct. And my instinct was, because I'm a very cheerful person, you might have noticed, and I'm physically strong, and I lived full life, and still I'm not ready to give it up.